Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1970s or 1971's She Killed in Ecstasy by Mr. JESS Franco. Now, what I'm showing you right here is the cover of the Image DVD and the back. And then here is the Severin Blu-ray for the film as well, that comes with the soundtrack for this film, as well as Vampiros Lesbos and The Devil Came from Akasava, which is also available on vinyl through Crippled Dick Wax and also the CD. But this is She Killed in Ecstasy. Jess Franco utilizing this a lot of the same actors in this film, as well as Vampiros Lesbos and The Devil Came from Akasava, most notably Soledad Miranda. And he made those films all in the same year, in the same time frame. Cool cover, cool back right there. And so we are going to be looking at She Killed in Ecstasy right now, tonight. And let's get into this movie. Now, wow. This is a film of love, of vengeance. I even have some notes up here. Art, morality, ethics, hypocrisy, necrophilia, faces. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. Just human faces, dictating emotions, white rooms, the beach. This is a film that is about sound, literally within the storyline. She Killed in Ecstasy deals with a scientist who's being shunned by his scientific community in many regards, and science and medical worlds, and he is doing some controversial things to help humanity. And what happens with the effect on him emotionally and physically and on his wife brings pain and then vengeance on the scientific and medical communities. So, let's get into this film here, She Killed in Ecstasy. Well, first and foremost, the music, okay? The music in this film was done by the same duo who did the music for Vampiros Lesbos and The Devil Came from Akasava. And the music, if you have not heard it, is unlike anything you've ever heard before. It is very complex, many different instruments, even a sitar, very groovy, very funky, very 60s, exotic, mysterious, sexy, avant-garde, experimental, especially in this film. Periods of cacophony and darkness, and it just has so much going on in it, evoking so many different emotions. And the way that it is used in this particular film is very, very bizarre, because it almost clashes at times with what is happening on the screen. And that just brings so much more interest to what is going on with the music in this film. The sound design in this movie is very, very unique as well, because we hear the sound of the ocean throughout the film. And even in timeless sequences, we are focusing upon the sound of the ocean. Even indoors, we are focusing upon the sound of the ocean. And sound, as a story point, is also focused upon as we get to a piece of architecture that I believe is utilized in other Franco films, where the talking echoes, it says in the storyline. It echoes, and that was a selling point for going there. There is a bit of kind of first-person narration in this film as well, from Soledad's character. Now, when we look at the way the music is used also, sometimes it cuts, sometimes it's just a little piece. It's very, very interesting the way it's utilized in this film. And as I said, sometimes it sounds like it's looping, and sometimes it's quiet, and sometimes it's louder. Now, when we look at the cinematography and the style for this film, there's a lot of richness going on here, folks. There is a lot of expert genius stuff going on in this freaking film. First and foremost, yes, we have Franco's reverse zooms and forward zooms. We have the camera seemingly taking chaotic journeys to get to the next point. It seems as though Franco knew where he wanted the camera to go to, but he takes a chaotic journey to get there to those 2 points without a cut. Do you understand what I'm saying? From here to there, and he'll go, or sometimes just fly across and then get right there, and you're like, that's amazing. He knew where he was going, even though it seemed to the naked eye like he might not have, like it was just chaos. Amazing scene involving steps from the outside of a building and two characters on these various stairwells shooting through some structures. An amazing, maybe one of the most amazing mirror sequences I've seen, definitely in my tops. You know, Franco is not alien to doing mirror sequences. And in this particular one, the mirror sequence clashes with the normal view of reality. And that's all I'm going to say in that. It is just so expertly done. There's also amazing sequences with reflections in this film and zooms within the reflections and lots of reflections, but just an unbelievable mirror sequence in there. Shooting through the opening of some structure. It looked like the bottom of a chair near the beginning of the film. He gets to that place chaotically and he shoots right through it. He also shoots through kind of these fence structures as well in this film. We have these very white rooms, simple rooms, very interestingly, with just some shag carpet and a very low beds to the ground. We have this unbelievable boat scene in this film. Let me tell you about this boat scene. It is surreal and it is wonderful. And it involves Soledad Miranda looking out into the water. And you know Jess Franco loves boats. And he flips that right on its head and does something that is just unbelievable in the edit. Unbelievable. Soledad's presence just walking down steps in this movie, seemingly using wide-angle lenses at times, I believe, just unbelievable. The way Soledad Miranda smokes a cigarette in this film, I think it's the first cigarette she smokes, it's the best cigarette smoking I've ever seen. And I thought the cigarette smoking in Hot Nights of Linda, which I also reviewed in this page, was amazing. No, this is the best I've ever seen. I know that Peter Steele, the lead singer of Typo Negative, had a cigarette smoking fetish for women. Well, he would have just completely lost his mind with her in this. And it's just cinematic. It looks unbelievable. The way she smokes, it just covers the front of her face. This is a movie of faces. As I say about the front of the face, this is a movie of faces. She Killed in Ecstasy is a movie of faces, and Franco really is tight on faces. Faces just fill up the whole screen, and the faces equal the dialogue, equal the emotions, the baggage, the anger, all the different emotions in here. And this is a film of vengeance. And this is a very, very dark film. The opening credits have some very disturbing imagery, and it's a very dark film. It's psychological deterioration, and this is a very violent film. Almost gory for Franco, but very, very darkly violent, involving vengeance, but in a very, very twisted, torturous manner. If you can think about the torture sequences in Vampiros Lesbos, this one just amps it up, where we have a film of revenge, and we have just mixing with the emotion, the emotional violence, and it gets dark, and there's a couple atonal sounds in this film. And let me also say that there's some pieces of music in this movie that are not on the soundtrack. So I wonder where they are, but there's some great pieces of music in here that are not on the soundtrack. This is a film of religion. There's even some organ music. It's a piano music, I believe, some piano music as well. This is a very interesting movie because it really, focuses on these weighty themes of morality and ethics and hypocrisy and art and humanity and humanism, and lust. And it's a very interesting thing because you almost wonder if Franco was, in a way, representing himself, even though he's in the movie, by the way. He is in the movie, playing a villain, by the way. But is it representing himself? Is he the person that his artistic community is up against, saying that he is doing something too controversial? Very, very interesting. Is it turning in on him at all? Sexually in the film, we have full frontal nudity. We have lesbian scenes. We also have some heterosexual scenes, but it's not too wild. The lesbian scenes are great. We really get some great shots of Soledad's butt in here, and just her full body, some nipple sucking, and caressing, and just some great shots of, even in the lesbian sequence. Let me just tell you, she just exudes amazingness. She exudes seduction and power and mystery and such a presence, even in her outfits and how they flow in the beach wind. This is right on the beach, mountains in the distance, and there is an unbelievable sequence with Soledad. As I say, it's a film about faces, where her face is contorting in disturbing, just a disturbing orchestration. She's holding her knees. It's right here. Okay? It's right there, and it's on the cover of the Severin as well. And it's an iconic photo, and it is an iconic scene involving emotional, dramatic music that I don't believe is in the soundtrack at all. It's not. And it's this piece of music that is just, it's just so powerfully emotional and dramatic, and the way that Franco films it, and the way that Soledad sells that scene in her face. It's so disturbing and haunting and overwhelmingly powerful. The way she sells everything in her face. And this is a film of faces, and she's even in disguise in this movie as well. This is really a very, very dark film, a very violent film, and a very thematically emotional film as well. This is She Killed in Ecstasy. You can pick up the Blu-ray from Severin, which comes with the full soundtrack for those three films. 1970, 1971, She Killed in Ecstasy by Mr. Jess Franco. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like this Jess Franco classic and many, many other Jess Franco films. Good night.